Okay, welcome everyone to our yin yoga practice. So we'll just take a few moments to arrive and to settle in, to begin to relax and open to contemplating. Open to simply taking a few conscious breaths and just feeling the breath. I've been lately talking about the breath as being very rhythmic and feeling the rhythm of the breath underneath the surface of all the holding patterns that the breath typically has. So let your breath feel rhythmic, also appreciating the capacity of the breathing to be cleansing. So really filling the lungs and feeling it, and empty the lungs and feeling it. And we'll just relax quietly for a few moments and just open up this quiet and gentle and relaxing sacred space. And now the inquiry of yoga. Okay, so just one thing here before we start. I have to let my teacher in. Okay, now we can start. And one thing I just wanted to say that I've been, as always, really appreciating this practice very much in my own life. And what I've been thinking about very lately is one of the things that makes this approach to the body and the mind and the feeling so unique is that it doesn't really matter what we are thinking, what we are feeling. What really matters is what we do with those thoughts, what we do with those feelings, what we do with those sensations. So even at the level of bodily discomfort, it doesn't really matter what we're feeling. What matters and what this inquiry is really holding is what we do with that. And the beautiful thing is there's no, overarching, technique or something we want to imprint on that. We're really exploring it moment to moment, trusting that your body, mind, heart are very different than they were 1 hour ago and 1 day ago and 1 week ago. So we come into this sort of unique place where if thoughts are arising, opinions, judgments, beliefs, emotions, whether strong or not so strong, and bodily sensations that run the gamut from mild to intense. Again, it doesn't matter what we're feeling on these levels. What matters is what we do with it. And so the real sort of tricky part of this is not to react habitually, not to just imprint something on and think we know, but really be able to relax enough and back up enough to investigate what it is that is appropriate to do, what information that we're receiving from this. So I want to start in a rather relaxed way. So you can either get your large bolster out, and I set these pillows up in case you don't have the large bolster. But what I'd like you to do with the large bolster or a bunch of pillows like this that'll sort of approximate the support and the length is to come over into a child's pose and tuck one end into your belly so the hips can open a little bit. And then, of course, if this is a little bit too severe or too early to bend into this, you can support this up as much as you need to. So I can pull additional bolstering under it. So I just want to do the supportive wide knee child pose, and then either put the right ear or the left ear, depending on which one feels a little bit more open. So whatever feels more open, put that ear on the bolster. So my right side, I'm putting my right ear because this doesn't feel as constricted as I would if I put my left ear. So just pick that side. Yep. And then if you don't have the large bolster, oh man, I hate to disturb this little guy, but what I'm going to do is take these. Come on, guy, I gotta get you off here. Thank you. Is I just built up some blankets and I've got these nice new pillows, and the same thing. It's just supportive in the belly with my pillows and blankets, and then I brought something also for my head, and then we're going to place either the right ear or the left ear, depending on which is more open. So, relatively speaking, this bolstering under the belly is going to support the hips a little bit, to support the knees a little bit. And if this is, too much for the knees, I completely understand. You can just relax the legs out. Yeah, so you can get pretty much the same thing. Just relax the legs out and put the head on the bolster. So we have a nice neck twist here to begin. And if this doesn't feel somewhat restful, add a little something, adjust a little something, add something, just to be able to find a very nice in-between place where you're certainly evoking a variety of sensations in your body, wherever, but also being able to just rest a bit and relax. So we start off entering this domain of the soma, very slowly and consciously, and certainly very respectfully. And as I said in the past, one of the things that we have a great opportunity to explore is that the kind of relaxation, the quality of rest that we're really trying to cultivate in this approach is not just a just not a quick time out from all of the activity, that the activity and the ambition and our goals and accomplishments have all of this value. And that's what we give all of this meaning to. And then the rest and the relaxation is just a quick time out so we can, continue on our, endless journey of activity. So I think one of the things that's worthy to contemplate is, what is it that we are resting from? Because I think the more we can go into this, the more we can kind of tease apart the activity from the rest, and allow genuine rest to be as valuable as activity. It's worthy to explore it. So I have a few ideas that I'd like to share with you. But before we do that, let's turn the head over to the other side. So whatever ear you have resting, let's just slowly pick it up. Take your time and place the other ear on either the bolster or your pillows, and we'll settle into the second side. So I think one of the things to explore that we are able to rest from is just our own self-image. What we think of ourselves, how we think of ourselves at the level of self-image, but also what we think others think of us. So there's a dynamic here that is holding a certain kind of tension, and you can explore this. So, obviously nothing wrong. We want to project our self-image into the world because it's who we think we are, and it allows us to be functional. But to take an authentic rest from this, continual maintenance and projection of not only what we think of ourselves and what we need to project, but also what we think others think of us. So resting from our self-image. We can explore resting from our concerns. And I think in this sort of collective contraction that we seem to be approaching, not only resting from the concerns of our own life, but resting from the concerns of the world, and just allowing ourselves to relax and rest into a place of just absolute quiet, emptiness, and trust. And I'm not saying we don't need to be concerned about our life or the world, but we also want to take an important break from that and a rest from that. We want the pendulum to swing away from the concern and over to just a trust and a deep sense of inner peace. We can also rest from the need to believe our thoughts and to engage in our thoughts. So this is an ongoing aspect of our yoga, to find a true relationship. The truth of how our thoughts are making us feel. Is it the thoughts evoking feeling or the feeling evoking thoughts? But to find a way to rest back from that persistent chatter, persistent rising and fading of our thinking process, and just rest from it, not have to engage it, not have to believe the thoughts or take them so seriously. I also think it's particularly important to take a rest from any false beliefs or misunderstandings that we have concerning either permanence or impermanence. So our willingness to relax into this, these layers and these sort of compartments that we think we know something about this subject, and to just relax from that, any beliefs or any misunderstandings that we may have about impermanence, just to rest from that. And then ultimately, I do believe that, the simplicity of this approach, and ultimately what's probably most therapeutic, is just to be able to rest from everything. How lovely that would be. Good. So wherever you happen to have your head twisted to either side, let's bring it to a straight spine. And then you can rest on your forearms and maybe just bring the neck up a little bit and have some movement with it after that static hold. And then from here, I'd like to just come off of the bolstering or the pillow blankets and turn them sideways. So I have the bolster here, but you could certainly just as well use a couple of pillows. And what I would like you to do is come forward on them and place your below your belly, so more at the pubic bone over this. So either the bolster here or these pillows, and come to the forearms here. So ideally we want the belly area to relax, yeah? So we're low, low, low with the pillows or the bolster, and then come to the forearms. Let the legs open a little wider than the hips here. And just relax here as much as possible. So there's something nice about being in this backward bend with letting the belly relax as well. And then we can come into some places of just being still and listening and really getting sensitive to the compression here, or we can start to move the shoulders back, relax the shoulders down, move the head from side to side, and just kind of see how this lower lumbar area is responding here. So we'll just take a little time here to relax into this. And if the breath is caught or the breath is not feeling rhythmic, really just relax your breathing, just feel it. So trying to maintain the awareness between what you're feeling physically, how the physical contraction begins to hold, and how you're breathing. These two are, completely and totally and absolutely interrelated. So when you feel the body start to stiffen or contract, notice if the breathing is contracting. You feel the breath start to stiffen and contract, notice if the body is being held in some form of resistance. So let the breath relax, let the belly relax, let the shoulders and head relax. And again, whatever experience is arising, somatically, psycho-emotionally, it doesn't matter that it is arising. What we're really exploring is what we do with the information, the feedback that is arising. Oh, okay, good. So let's come on up from here and come to a tabletop from here. So you can remove the pillows and the blankets and the bolster. And what I would like you to do, this is not a typical tabletop. This is to really elongate and lengthen the spine out. So what I'm going to suggest here, in yin, we call this a spinal floss. So just have a little lateral movement back and forth first, and the lengthening back. So lengthen back, kind of pull your spine back, and then lengthen forward. Be careful of the wrists here. You may want to turn them to the side a bit to get a little bit more length forward. So you're kind of lengthening the spine forward and you're lengthening the spine back. I don't know why they call it a spinal floss. It's said that this possibly helps to cleanse some, debris or bone spurs in the spine, but I'm not so sure about that. But whatever you feel, just be loose and intuitive with this. It's not simply, a formal cat-cow
have any movement that you feel, but especially when you stretch back. Yeah, and when you stretch back, don't curl the toes. When you stretch forward, you don't have to curl the toes. Yeah. So just a few more times, just some intuitive loose movement. Good. And then from here, staying on tabletop, yes, curl the toes under. Yeah. And then this is hopefully relatively neutral for the toes. You've just curled them back. I can't speak for your toes, obviously. And then what I would like to invite you to do is start to come back a bit. Yeah, so you're going to come back, bring the weight back, and then you will feel something, yes, with the toes. Yeah, and you may need to get that little toe involved, but all 5 toes, all 10 toes should be flat on the floor at this point. And then we have the weight of the body pressing into those toes. If this hurts, if this feels really stiff and really achy and not good, this is calling for you to start to get more suppleness in this area of your body. So I can almost guarantee you that a restriction, a stiffness, a dehydration, a lack of range of motion in the toes and the metatarsals and the bones of the foot and the ankles will translate to many, many parts of the body. So it's a part of the body that we often neglect. If it becomes like too much, a little unsafe, just come back to tabletop, come forward. You can even release the toes, but release it. But again, just use the feedback that you're getting from this level of stiffness or especially pain, especially if you're not used to doing this. So just a little longer here. And even through all of my talking, if you can just sort of quiet down and feel, and if it really is painful, please ask yourself, why is this? And do we want to commit to having the part of our body that's closest to the earth and allows us this mobility and is receiving all the compression from the weight of the body, if we want this to be stiff and resistant, or we want it to be supple and flowing? Good. So come back towards tabletop, release the toes. Yes, yes. And then sit back on the heels again with the toes relaxed out, so we're just into the arches. And then typically what I recommend here, this may be enough for your arches like this. If you'd like to put the knees up on a pillow or the bolster. So the more we raise the knees, obviously, the more we're going to get into the ankles. If they're feeling like they can go a little bit deeper, that is the ankle stretch that I just showed here with the fingers on the floor, and we bring the knees up. But you can put them on the bolster, the pillows, or if you can bring the knees up. And this is where we kind of play with the range of motion here. So not only the compression in the toes and the arches, but now certainly the ankles as well. Yeah, just a very lovely thing to do. And not to mention, the suppleness in the feet responsible for how you walk, your gait, your sense of balance, and again, the contraction into your knees and to your thighs and to your hips and beyond. Good. So let's come forward out of this. You can sit to the side and just let the feet roll out. And just relax the feet now. And we'll just sit with this for a moment, just feel this. So we want to feel the feedback that we're feeling after the compression as well. And again, primary connection from the toes and the arches and the ankles right up into the knees as well. So this is something we can become increasingly conscious of. Good. So from here, let's open the legs out to a nice straddle. And then what I would like you to do is take the, just going to turn to the side, is take the right leg and just bend it back. Yeah, so this is not the half frog that I usually do, where we push it in back of you. So this is just coming to the side. So from the front here, I have the left leg extended out into
a straddle. This was into a straddle, and then I just brought it in. Yeah. So just bent like this. Yeah. If this is not possible, they're your knees, just bring it in this way. And then you can open it and relieve the tension in the knee. Yeah. But if you're able to just bring it back, and again, it's just to the side and in, not pushing back to open that hip. So there should be very little movement or external rotation in the right hip. Yeah. And then from here, we're going to start to come forward, but be curious with this. You could come to this left leg. Yeah. So if you're choosing to, you could come all the way to the left leg, or you could come down in front or somewhere in between. What I suggest is to just be curious, to take a few moments, either leaning on the bolster or hands on the floor, and just let the weight kind of survey it, because it'll feel very different if the upper body head is coming towards the left leg or if it's coming more towards the right knee. So, not only right knee, back of the left leg, but also the lumbar spine here. So do a quick survey back and forth, and then find a spot either on your forearms or your forehead or on your pillows and bolster, so you feel nice and supported here, and we'll just relax for a bit. This is called a forward saddle pose, as opposed to the backward saddle pose. And these angles of range of motion that we get to explore from the position of the body in this particular approach, we just simply want to be very curious about this. So we are in no way interested in a specificity of alignment. All of us that are doing this at this moment, all our skeletons are shaped very differently. So what we're interested in is, what is the angle of range of motion that I'm playing with that's giving me feedback from my particular shape? So always feel free to adjust a bit, to survey the weight and the compression and explore. Another way to say that is that you can experience these sensations in layers. So as you're sinking in, there's always a first layer of sensation, the next layer of sensation. So along the way, you can discern, what it is in terms of angle, in terms of weight, in terms of breathing even. What is it that I want to sink deeper into, and what is it that I need to move away from, that either doesn't feel appropriate or doesn't feel safe? So that first layer, that second layer of sensation, we're sort of discerning what it is and where we need to be. Good. So let's come on up from here. And then if you have the knee bent back, we're going to try to deepen it a little bit. If you don't have the knee bent back, if you have it around and in front, probably you want to keep it there. But what we're all going to do is we're going to take that left leg and bring it straight ahead. Yeah. So we're going to have the same position, except not the leg out to the side. And then what we're going to do is bring some bolstering in back. So we're bringing it from the lower spine out vertically, and we're going to lay over it for this half saddle position. So you don't have to have the bolstering, but it kind of in a way deepens the backward bend. So it's recommended. And it also allows maybe to go into this where you might not be able to, if you didn't have the bolstering. You know, it certainly is a fine position without the bolstering. So if you just wanted to come to the floor, if you know this position and you prefer it, it feels a little, for me, it's more intense in the knee and the quadricep, not so much in the backward bend. Yeah. So if you could want to do it that way, fine. If you would like to add some bolstering, and if you're adding pillows and blankets and you come back, just make sure it's supporting your shoulders and your head as well. So always when I use the bolster, you know, just mimic the height and the shape with whatever pillows and blankets you have. So the left leg is extended out front, relax. The right knee is bent back along your side or not, if this is too much for the knee, but also be aware that you can bring your bolstering up to any height that maybe works for you. So you could put some pillows under this bolster and then not come back as deep and maybe explore bending the knee back. So we've kind of moved from that ankle toe stretch now to stretching into the knee. But again, if not, you can just put the sole of the foot on the inside of that leg and just a little different. And just, you know, very quietly in your own way, explore what I was just suggesting about the nature of the first layer of sensation and how you might discern to keep something, remove something, change something. So it's never with these positions in or out, yes or no, black or white. It's just a matter of first layer, second layer, and just sinking into the, you know, the somatic feedback, the visceral feedback, and how this feels, and then responding to this feedback in a way that's appropriate for you. And when I say, you know, what to keep and what to let go of, you know, again, this is up to you. You know, this can be anything from, you know, moving the body, providing more support and bolstering, or just an attitude you might have about your body, just a previous diagnosis that you might be holding, possibly a fear about the body. So this is, you know, a very immediate and personal exploration and investigation. You know, what is it that you're really moment to moment exploring?
Good. So if you do have your right knee bent back, whether you're unsupported or you're up on bolstering, the best way to release this is to just start to lean as much as you can over to the left and start to relax that leg out, that right leg, so the knee straightens. Then you'll either be, if you don't have the bolstering, obviously you'll flat on the floor. If you have the bolstering, just keep rolling off of it. And then let's take a little bit of rest here since we just did forward and back.
And again, try to stay as sensitive to the reverberations of release as you can. This dynamic, if you will, of compression and release, whether it's into a posture and out of a posture, it's a profound dynamic, because this is what the essential energy of your body is based on, is compression and release. So we want to really feel this. We want to develop an intelligent relationship with how the body feels at that level. And how does your body feel as it's vibrating? And this can give you, a tremendous amount of intuitive information. Okay, so let's come back up, please, and we'll do the other side of this. And again, we'll start with a wide open straddle, and then we're going to take that left leg and bend the knee in, or not. Yeah, so it's going to look like this from the front. Right leg is out, so we're not pushing this leg back like we do in that half frog again. And of course, if it's not, you can tuck it in. Some sort of bolstering or not, you can go back down to the forearms. But the bolstering is nice. Again, it just exaggerates the backward bend, which we're going to go back into later. So if you're using it, tuck it way in, get nice and supported. This right leg is out. No, I'm sorry. We brought the right leg in. Oh, no, we're coming forward. What have I done? So I'm so sorry. We're not going back yet. We're going forward. So we have the right leg out, this leg bent back or not, and then we're going to come forward first. And the same thing, either come over to the leg if you know, but what I'm suggesting is a few exploratory passes of the way to the upper body. So you can come to the left leg if this is where it feels good. You can come somewhere in the middle or over to the right leg and just kind of settle in and relax down. So forward bend here with the right leg in the open position for the straddle, the left leg bent out. And then if you're not bending that left leg back, just bring it in. So we would do sort of a variation of the half butterfly, but instead of the leg straight, we have it out and then come forward. And then, of course, what I was saying earlier, when we were in a more restorative, restful position, about resting and cultivating some sense of awareness of what we're resting from, that goes for every one of our positions. So this is why really being aware of these layers of sensation, because sometimes the first, the second layers of sensation we're kind of gripping a little or unsure, or the resistance is holding and not releasing. So we want to make sure that through the course of every one of these positions that we can start to relax and feel this sense of rest. If we're not able to cultivate that after a couple of minutes, we want to provide more support, or make an adjustment, or come out completely. So the relaxation and the rest, just as important as the compression and finding that physical edge in the pose. So struggling, not through the whole pose, a sense of uncertainty, or am I doing this right? Not through the whole pose. We want to find a place where we just sort of let go of the shape of the body, let go of the body, and just relax. And then we can start to explore, what are we relaxing from? Well, we're relaxing from everything. Okay, so let's come on up from here. So now we're going to go to where I thought we were going before. So as we come up, we're going to take that right leg and bring it front. Yep. So we can go into the backward bend. So again, you can do this without the support, but you can also tuck some support in. You can bring this bolster up, or you could stack pillows up. So whatever height the backward bend, the upper body needs to support the resistance in the quad and especially the knee. So do play with that. Better to come way up and be able to get a little bit of compression in the knee and the quad instead of continually avoiding it. So this is the sort of the relationship you want to explore. What support your body needs, where you're feeling these layers of sensation. So in general, I'm just saying some bolstering, the knee bent back, the right leg straight, and then relax. Of course, if you're concerned about injury, or the fear of hurting yourself is overwhelming, then just don't do it. Yeah. So you always need to be open to exploring and knowing that you can make these adjustments in a safe way. Because if you're concerned about injury, you're not going to be able to relax. And I contend that if you are able to stay completely present with your experience in this particular practice, there's really no way to get injured. It's when the ego gets involved and wants us to do something we think we should, or where we get so distracted we're not aware of the feedback the physical body is giving us. But moment to moment, to stay present with our direct experience of not only the physicality but the psycho-emotional feelings that are evoked. If we stay present with that, they will guide us to staying safe and using these poses, most therapeutically. And again, like I said earlier, it's not so much we're wanting to avoid the pain. It's not the pain itself, it's what we do with it. We're not wanting to avoid the psycho-emotional discomfort, it's what we do with it. So this becomes a lovely place to receive feedback from yourself and then inquire about it, investigate it. So mentioning self-inquiry, I was reading this book, Too Intimate for Words by John Aston. And what I love about him is he has this way of bringing such eloquence to simplicity. So he has this very short passage about self-inquiry. He says, let this question drop into the heart. Who am I? Many things may arise in response to it. I am this body, this personality, these images and memories, a man, a woman, a father, friend, seeker, lover of God, one with God, sinner, saint, nothing, everything, consciousness itself. But any answer that could ever be found would first have to appear as an object in awareness, which leads to the question, to whom or what do all these answers appear? So once again, whether you're supported or not, if you do have that knee bent back, we want to lean over to the right a bit so we can release it. And then if you're already on the floor, great, there you are. Once you have the knee released, then you can keep rolling off the bolstering. And let's then come back into another rest. So we'll take a little bit of longer rest here since we finished this sequence. So make yourself comfortable. We'll rest for a bit. So I'd like to share these two short quotes with you from two, I would say they're pretty different individuals, but for somehow these two quotes, as I was reading them, they seem so interrelated. So I'll just share them with you. If only it were all so simple. If only there were evil people somewhere insidiously committing evil deeds, and it were necessary only to separate them from the rest of us and destroy them. But the line dividing good and evil cuts through the heart of every human being, and who is willing to destroy a piece of their own heart? Alexander Solzhenitsyn. If you bring forth what is within you, you will bring forth, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas. So let us come on up and get something, get either the bolster or get yourself a couple of 1 or 2 pillows. So either one will work for this. And let's extend the left leg forward and bring the right leg up and over. So we're going to bring that right foot a little bit back towards the left hip. Yep. So we're just crossing one leg over the other, but we're kind of torquing this right hip a little bit by pulling this back. But of course, certainly don't force it. So we have the right leg up and over, and then take your pillow or your bolster and put it on this left side. And then take the left hand and put it around back. So you're setting up onto the, you could go to the palm, but I like to go to my fingertips so I can twist to the left a little bit. And then you can take the right arm and put it over the, the right arm over the right knee. So we're just compressing a little bit here. And just bring the chin over the left shoulder and twist very gently. Yeah, so this would be a good example of our more active muscular yang practice, because we're using this muscular energy of the twist, of the weight of the, using the pressure of the arm, a sitting twist. So we wouldn't really, at some point, we would start to fatigue muscularly and not be able to relax into this. So we're just doing this to initiate a little bit deeper into a sitting twist. And then from here, release this left arm and just come towards your bolstering. So I'm coming more towards this right foot off to the left side here. Really relax that lower back and use whatever support you need to come to your forearms or your hands, or if your head's able to come to the bolster. So we're coming forward, but off to the left, keeping some of that twist that we initiated with the muscular tension of the sitting pose, and just try to relax into that. And again, feel free to survey this. I'm not saying to place the upper body with any specificity. If you want to, swing back and forth a little bit, feel what's happening in all these areas that the weight and the position are evoking, please do that. But then take some time to settle in and then move through this first layer of sensation and see what's there. So I love that line very much. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. So this to me is pure yin yoga. And the way that we bring forth what is within us is we have a willingness to simply feel it without judgment, without thinking we know what it is, and allowing the energies to arise before we need to superimpose our predetermined story onto it. And this is the essence of this approach to meditation. So nothing is off limits, nothing gets compartmentalized, nothing gets judged. We just allow what is within us to come forth and listen to it with great curiosity. And often we're very surprised where the energies of the body that were formerly dense and contracted and dormant and stagnant, once allowed to come to the light of awareness, what they will reveal.
So you can certainly stay over to the left if you're there and you're in a good place. I'm also going to suggest keep the body, the head, the weight down, and sway now over so the spine is straight. So for the most part now, the head would be somewhere over this extended left leg, or even the right knee, but just to kind of straighten out the spine here, or not. If you want to stay to the left, please do. But I'm releasing the spine now and just straightening it out, and we'll stay in this forward bend a bit longer. And I guess I might add to my list of resting from not having to believe our thoughts and not having to engage in them, and certainly I would add not having to take them too seriously, because what are they except an appearance that comes from who knows where and goes to who knows where. So to give them any more solidity or seriousness than we need to is not so really self-serving. Good. So if you are over to the left and you haven't straightened the spine, let's indeed straighten the spine here. And then come on up. And let's take that right leg and release it. So we'll straighten out both legs. Yeah, and so just a little interlude. We won't stay here too long, but take something, a pillow or two, or the large bolster, and put it under the knees, and really, 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 and truly, and really soften this lower back. Yeah, so no element of stretching, just really soften into it, bring the weight of the head down, and we'll just sort of use this to kind of equal out that twist in the lower back. And you can use as little or as much as you like under the knees. It's just to take some of the back leg compression and let us isolate into the lumbar area. Okay, so let's come on up and let's do the other side of this. So we'll keep the right leg extended out. We'll bring the left leg up and over. So we're bringing that left foot back towards the right hip. And then what I'm suggesting here, this time we'll put whatever bolstering pillow or bolster on the right side. But before we go down, let's take that right arm and put it around back. So I'm just putting my fingers on the floor and trying to elongate my spine a bit. Yeah, so this helps to support elongating the spine, but also is going to give you some muscular strength to twist a little bit deeper. Yep, and you can take this left arm and put on the inside of this left knee. And that's just to press against that left leg a bit. But most of the twist is coming from you're pulling kind of with this right arm a bit, and then bring the chin over the right shoulder. So this is nice just to feel it muscularly, to deepen it a bit. But also what I'm suggesting is to see the, the obvious difference between the tissues that we target in an active practice, which are more, the muscular tissue, and the ligamental and the fascial tissue, which is just a little very different in the feel, especially when we settle in for 3 or 4 or longer minutes. We wouldn't want to do that with something like this. This would just fatigue the muscles, and it would become sort of contrary. Good. So we can relax that right arm now, and just wherever the body twists back to, but we'll try to then come over to the right. So that's why we have the bolstering here, 1 or 2 pillows, a bolster, whatever we need. Please try to relax the neck as much as possible. And again, survey a bit, explore all of this torso weight where you really want to settle in, and then settle in.
And what John was saying in that reading that I just shared with you about the real primacy of self-inquiry is the primacy of awareness, the fact that we are aware, and all of the things that arise in that awareness. So with the physical yoga, what we're also looking at is that no matter how aware we become or how enlightened we think we are, there's always deep and old residues and wounds of discomfort in the body. So this is, again, this is not a fix. This is not an on or off. But by relaxing into this expansiveness of awareness, this unlimitedness of awareness, this infinity of awareness, we can then allow these old residues of discomfort, of pain, these old wounds to start to arise to the light of awareness. This is very different than trying to fix something. So again, if we're talking about yoga, we're talking about the purity of yoga. We're talking about in a way, the just simple beauty of awakening to that we are aware. And then everything that seemingly arises in this awareness is something for us to explore. And if it's compressed, if it's suppressed, if it's repressed, if it's dormant, then we don't get to, bring that residue out. We don't get to release that residue. But the exploration is not primarily of the mind, not primarily of the emotions, not primarily of the somatic sensations. The exploration, the inquiry is that you are aware. And then you are free. The freedom is to non-judgmentally explore what's in awareness. Some of it feels free and open and joyful and loving. Some of it feels somewhat contracted and old and wounded. And we get to explore that because there's no worries, because it's all arising ultimately in awareness. So if you are off to the side, once again, let's bring that spine to a straight spine. Or not, if you'd like to stay off into the twist, feel free. But I want to spend a little time bringing the forehead over that leg and straightening out the spine, keeping the weight down, relaxing the head and the neck. And of course, earlier when I mentioned the first layer of sensation, that has no real meaning. It's very vague and pretty much metaphorical. But see what layer of sensation you might be in now, and how interesting that the subtlety and the nature and the texture of sensation, it changes. So first layer, second and third layer, it's meaningless. What you're feeling though, and the difference of how the body responds and receives and holds, this is what's really important to explore. Good. So now indeed, if you are off to the side, let's straighten up that spine so we can release from this. And then let's come on up. And let's relax that leg out. So we'll just straighten out both legs. And this time, let's lie down and take a rest. If you felt the call to do that forward bend with something under the knees a second time, you could do that. But at some point, we'll take a little longer rest here, so you'll have time for both. So either come into rest or do something counter for yourself. So relaxing into the rhythm of your breathing, but also relaxing into the rhythm of your heartbeat. So the rhythm of your heartbeat can remind you that you are here in a most concrete and direct way. And the interrelationship between these two, between the rhythm of your breathing and the rhythm of your heartbeat, is quite profound. So this is nothing of a technique. This is more of a felt sense and an intuition. So to feel this rhythmic breathing, the rhythm of your heartbeat, and both really reminding you directly that you are here. Where else could you be? Okay, so come on up, and we're going to go into the full saddle backward bend, but I'm going to show you 3 ways to do this. And what I'm going to do, instead of just choosing one way and holding that for a really long duration, I'm going to ask you to pick one, and then at some point we'll come out and I'm going to ask you to pick a second one. So we're going to break it up into kind of 2 parts. Works really well with the bolster. If you don't have a bolster, again, just use pillows and blankets, but just approximate the height. Also with this, you can, if you have the bolster, you can bring this up if you need to. So let me show you the 3 things that we're going to do. So the first thing is to come into more of the full saddle supported, which would be to put the bolster in back and to bend the knees back. So this is what I said earlier, that we visited this with the half position with the knees back. So maybe they're a little more ready for this, maybe not. It's up to you, but the bolster can help. Yeah, so supported here, coming into the saddle position with the support. So this would be one choice. Yeah, if you're able to manage the backward bend, but the knees are not quite cooperating or it's not accessible, you can just cross the legs in front. Yeah, so any way that feels good to you, just cross your legs. And the same thing. So here we're still getting some compression in the knees. You'll see when you go back, it's also pulling on the hips, and we're getting the backward bend. Yeah, with these legs back. Yeah, good. So there's 2 choices. The third choice is to take this smaller bolster. And if you don't have a smaller bolster and you've built your support with the pillows, you could take another pillow, or you could take a blanket and put it crossways here. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this bolster and putting something right at the lumbar area, either my small bolster or it works with a nice rolled up blanket. And then we will let the knees relax out. Yep. And we'll use the support, put something back there, and then come over it like this. So this just takes us to a really deep backward bend, but obviously I'm not bending the knees back. So what I'm going to ask you to do is choose one of these, either legs out, added support to the primary support, bend the knees back and come into it with the full saddle support, or cross the legs. So pick one of these. We're going to hold it for a time, and then I'm going to invite you to come out. We'll take a quick rest, and then we'll pick a second one, and I'll show you again the choices, and we'll go into a second one. Oh, they're all lovely. They're all lovely in their own uncomfortable way. And again, have some awareness of these sensations being layered. A posture like this, which is relatively intense and deep, it often takes these layers some time to acclimate. If something doesn't feel right, check in honestly and make sure you're not just thinking you should be doing something you shouldn't be, and either rearrange or adjust. Or if you have something you prefer to do in a backward bend, you could do that as well. And sometimes the simplest, but also the most profound thing that we can do is just allow the experience to arise without any interference. So this is quite simple, but not as easy as it sounds, because the need to change our experience is very deeply rooted in habits. The need to immediately tell ourselves a story about what's arising, very deeply rooted in habits. So part of the equanimity of this practice is to just let the experience arise simply as it is, just simply. To not interfere with the present moment in any way. And then certainly if we feel called to investigate, we investigate from the wisdom of our intuition, not from another story, another habit, someone else's filtered down belief system, some modality that we've been highly trained in, but to allow the experience to arise in its purity and its simplicity, and then allow our innate intuitive intelligence to then investigate it. and certainly not to underestimate this intuitive intelligence. You know, often when I want to try to really connect with this, I just relax into the intelligence that is, you know, working through my digestive system, that is connecting my internal organs, that is allowing my neural network to function, that is allowing my blood to flow and my heart to beat. That's the level of intuitive intelligence I'm talking about. So we have the capacity, we are that. So whatever arises directly, and we want to investigate it, not that we have to investigate it, we could just allow it to, you know, that residue to relax out into the edges. Or if we want to go into the heart of it, if we want to go into the texture of it, we don't do it from a belief system or a habit of the mind. We do it from that intelligence that is allowing this whole system that's you know, beyond our capacity to comprehend, that level of intelligence to take over the investigation. So whichever one of these backward bends you are in, and certainly if you're in an interesting place and you don't want to make this switch halfway through, that would be your choice, I understand. But if you would like to take a rest here and switch it to something else, if you have your knees bent back, address them first. And just like we did with the half, my suggestion is just to lean off to one side, try to unhook that one leg, and then lean to the other side and unhook them. If they're crossed, just straighten them out. The third option you don't have to worry about. So that's the first thing, just address the knees. Then you can roll off your bolstering. Try not to roll on the cat if you have one there. There were no cats harmed in the making of this video. Just kind of curl up and just whichever position you were in, come out of it. Let's take a short rest here, maybe a minute or so, and then I'm going to invite you to go into something a little different. So we'll go through the options again. Okay, so let's go through those options again. And what I'm inviting you to do is to just pick something different than you did. So one of the options is to use the bolstering and put something, I'm putting this little blanket here. You could use the small bolster. It's pretty deep and it works well, but put that across the bolster, sit in front of it. And especially if you had your knees bent back, this might be nice not to bend your knees, but this additional support over the bolster intensifies the backward bend. So that's a really nice combination. Let the knees relax, go deeper into the lumbar. Yeah. If you did this the first time, then you may want to not have that. You might want to just cross your legs in front and then come over the bolster to do the backward bend. So this is very nice as well. This is more hip opening, a little bit of compression in the knees. Or you could, if you didn't bend the knees back and you want to try it, you can bend the knees back
And you could either use just this level of height for bolstering, you could bring it up, or you could, even if you're feeling rather flexible and you want to try it without the bolstering, this is a very deep backward bend. I don't have to tell you that, but it's really lovely for reestablishing the curve of the lumbar spine. So you can come back without it. Yeah. Oh, very lovely. Or you could use the bolster. And I'll just give you one more option, a fourth option, since this is the second time around. You could just not put that secondary thing over the blanket or the bolster, and just pull this bolster or your pillows and blankets in and leave the legs straight. So this takes it all down several notches, but you know, it's just depends on what your body needs. Intensity, relaxation, contraction, opening, all just words to see how you're feeling. And we'll stay here for about the same amount of time. So really do try to settle in. And so I'm more and more coming to just appreciate
the subtlety and the value of this level of inquiry, because ultimately what we're opening, what we're cultivating, is to be able to study life. You know, if we want to know life, we have to study life. And this is not a study of the world. They are very different things, where we are bringing our inquiry into what is alive. So this is not concepts. This is not perceptions. This is what is actually viscerally alive, the study of life itself, and how we approach that, and how we receive that, how we interpret that, how we hold that, how we express that. And this is just as each posture, each somatic sensation is very personal and very unique to you, as is this study. So we have this tremendous gift of being alive. And if we stay mesmerized and transfixed by the imagery of the mind, the dreamlike state of the thoughts, if we stay in conceptualization, we don't get to study what's actually alive. And so hence that invitation to come into the rhythm of your breathing. Come into the rhythm of your actual heartbeat. Images and thoughts and projections and fears of the world, this is not aliveness. You are aliveness. The I am is aliveness. And this, in many ways ties into what I was talking about a few classes ago, that we don't, investigate any of these things, but particularly our thoughts. We don't investigate them to get rid of them. We don't investigate to alter them. We're not investigating to have happier thoughts or more productive thoughts. We're investigating to see if they are true. And this takes, great depth and great equanimity and great sensitivity. Good. So wherever you are, if the knees are still bent back, let's, of course, address the knees first. And if your knees are not bent back and you're just back, maybe put the feet on the floor. So just come out slowly and come out safely. And let's lie down and relax, and we will take a rest here. So just make yourself comfortable. Good. So let's come on back up, please. And let's place the soles of the feet together, but bring them out a little bit more than you're used to. So if you're bringing them in, just let them extend out just a few extra inches, just to kind of play with the angle of the range of motion of the hips, really relax the knees. And then again, always endeavoring just to come, especially after the length of those intense backward bends, just very, very slowly. So maybe just come to that first layer of density and just allow yourself to let that relax. And you may stay at that first layer of density. So don't be in a hurry to move through or past anything. This lumbar area is extremely complex in how it holds tension and how the muscular tension reacts with the ligamental tissues. So just settle into it nice and slowly here. What I was saying, earlier about resting from these various qualities, and I was saying to rest from our false beliefs and our misunderstandings around impermanence. So this is something that I've been really trying to pay attention to, because I think naturally some of our stronger programming is to keep impermanence at a safe distance. We can explore it in a meditation, or if we read a book about it, or in our yoga, but to really hold it close, to really hold the truth of impermanence closely, at least for myself, it affects the quality of my moment to moment, not even day to day, but my moment to moment experience of being alive. So if I relax into the truth that I honestly do not know when this will shift, the impermanence of me being present and alive right now is tenuous. And if the closer I can hold that, the more it allows just a deep and profound appreciation of each moment, because it can slip away in the twinkling of an eye. So this is what I mean by just resting from any misunderstandings, any false beliefs that we have in our own personal relationship to impermanence, and how to use it as a force for good, a quality to allow us to appreciate the very moment that we have, how incredibly precious it is. Good. So let's come on up here just a bit, come up from here. Don't have to come all the way up, and open the legs back out to that full straddle that we did earlier, but we were bending one leg. So this time we won't, and we'll come forward. And again, bring in any equipment you need to support the upper body. Settle into it, relax into it, soften into it. So then one of the most direct and one of the most primary invitations of the yoga is to take these qualities that we think we know, whether it's indigestion, a vague achiness, tiredness, anxiety. Take any of these things and be patient enough and curious enough to really examine them. This is what I meant when I said earlier we're not trying to get rid of the thought. We're not trying to get rid of the thought about tiredness or indigestion or vague discomfort or frustration, but we want to examine what it is to see if it's really true, to see what's really there, to step back from the knee-jerk reactions and just be able to spend time with what we're feeling. And then we enter into, it's not so much what we're feeling because we're not sure what it is, but our relationship to it, our willingness to examine it, our willingness to get close to this energy. And this is the most beautiful quality of yin, is the honesty of not knowing. The humility of not knowing, the clarity of not knowing, and then ultimately the power that knowing gives us to directly experience ourself. Good. So let's come up from here and let's lie down. Come into Shavasana. So make yourself comfortable to rest if you would like, if you feel that you want to or need a counter pose or something more. Obviously, feel free. If you would like to sit up and prepare to close, all of these are your choice. Come into the rhythm of your own heartbeat to remind you that you are here.